Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I hope that you are all really well. It's fantastic to see so many of you here today. Welcome to Spotify Studio Sessions. This is a webinar all about how you as an advertiser can leverage Spotify Ad Studio, specifically during the very key purchasing period that is the lead up to Christmas. And it's also about how you can tap into the positive emotions and sentiments of the festive season that is soon going to be upon us, which is quite scary. But as a reminder to you all, the session today is going to be recorded. So you don't have to take notes. Feel free to sit back and relax, and you'll have access to the content at the end of the session. But before we dive in, a couple of quick intros. I am Kitty and I am a growth account manager in the UK market. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, but I am a bit of a Scrooge when it comes to listening to Christmas music, or at least listening to Christmas music before December starts. But if I had to pick my favourite Christmas track, I would have to pick Wham's Last Christmas. And I'm hoping that we do have a few other George Michael fans on the call today. How about you, Brian?
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian. I'm a growth account manager in the US market based in New York. So in contrast to you, Kitty, I'm actually a huge holiday music fan. I actually got really pumped to the intro music, but my song pick is going to be pretty classic. It's Bruce Springsteen's version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So I love that Clarence Clemens sax solo, and I actually saw Bruce in concert last week, and he's still amazing at 74. Just absolutely phenomenal.
That is a very good choice of track, Brian. I'm also a huge Bruce fan. I mean, who isn't? Today's playlist or agenda, let's take a little look at what we're going to be covering. We do have an exciting agenda ahead. Firstly, we're going to be going through, or Brian is going to be going through Spotify's most update numbers. So it's always good to get an idea of what the audience looks like on the platform. Then he's going to be taking you through the holidays specifically on Spotify. So sharing lots of fun and interesting insights into our audience that are going to help you to plan your end of year campaigns. Next, I'll take over and I will dig into Ad Studio's capabilities. And for the first time ever, we've actually created some ads to play for you today, just so that you can get a little idea of what a holiday ad might sound like on Spotify. And lastly, as usual, we will end on a live Q&A. So I hope you all brought your questions and feel free to drop them into the Q&A box as we go along. And we do have a few polls for you throughout this webinar, just to get to know the audience a little bit better and also to share Spotify's powerful data insights. So the first poll we have for you is, which of the following is not one of the top 5 Christmas songs streamed on Spotify globally? Is it All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey? Is it Last Christmas by Wham, my favorite? Is it Santa Tell Me by Ariana Grande? Or is it Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley? What are our thoughts, everyone? The answer is Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley. I don't think there are any surprises there, to be honest. Anyway, over to you, Brian.
Yeah, I'm looking at the poll, and it looks like it was a perfect tie between Ariana Grande and Blue Christmas for what you guys picked. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I was surprised Ariana Grande is so high up as well. I mean, I'm a big fan, but it's amazing what impact Santa Tell Me has had in the last couple of years. So basically, we're going to kick it off with a classic. We're going to look at the Spotify audience, Spotify by the numbers. So today, Spotify is the world's most popular audio platform, which means it can reach your audience regardless of where they are on the globe. We have 551 million monthly active users, and 60% of them are ad supported. So around half are ad supported in the US and UK markets specifically. So the Spotify audience continues to grow year on year, streaming in 184 markets around the world. So we know for a fact that digital audio listening has exploded. Digital audio listeners have increased by 73% in the UK over the last 10 years, and by 62% in the US. That's 39 million adults listening monthly, a massive number. We recently launched Volume 2 of Sonic Science, a report on how digital audio on Spotify engages listeners throughout their daily lives. The second installment of the study examined how engagement, mood, and ad recall are all impacted when listening to Spotify. So the full report can be found at ads.spotify.com, or your growth account manager can send it over. But here are some key takeaways. Number one, digital audio is an all-day, everyday ritual for listeners. From walking and reading, to cooking, to commuting, everywhere. There's always a place for audio. Number two, listeners' engagement with digital audio carries over into the ads. The more impactful the audio content, the more impactful the ad. Number three, regardless of what they listen to, most participants reported a mood boost after tuning in. That's whether they were listening to their favorite podcast or their favorite music. Number four, the audio listeners stream on Spotify reflects what's happening in real life. So the music listeners choose is related to the activity they're taking part in as well. And finally, and this is probably most important for you guys, as advertisers, Spotify listeners remember the ads they heard, and they convert. Whether they listen to music or podcasts, listeners were able to recall brands very, very effectively. So this is the time of year we think about those key purchasing moments, the lead up to the holidays, end of year celebrations. Audiences are tuned in, and this is a crucial moment for getting your brand's message to audiences. So based on our first party data, we know people come to Spotify to listen to their favorite holiday music. It's a big moment for Spotify and a big opportunity for you. 88% of Spotify listeners listen to holiday music during the 2022 holiday season. And 1 in 4 Spotify listeners listen to holiday music always or often during this past holiday season. And holiday music on Spotify is growing by double digits year on year, 10% from December to December. So who is actually listening to holiday music? Holiday music streaming skewed female and older. Over 2/3 of listeners were female, and 1/3 were 45 plus. And holiday music was a connected experience. The holiday moment was more likely to be streamed on at-home devices like TV and connected speakers in the US. So I know this because, my family, we all gather around, and when we decorate the Christmas tree, you always used to listen to Harry Connick Jr. First, we listened to it on like CDs or the radio. Now we listen to it on our connected devices and on Spotify. So one of the things I wanted to note as well is that holiday shopping starts early. So 1 in 4 Spotify listeners stated they started their holiday shopping over 2 months in advance. And nearly half of Spotify listeners shopped pre-Thanksgiving. So that means, now's the time to start planning. Now's the time to start thinking about how you're going to reach those holiday audiences. So Spotify audiences are also listening during the shopping moment. 67% of Spotify users listen to music on Spotify while shopping during the 2022 holiday season. During those key purchasing moments, Spotify is directly in their ears. So this is also an important stat. 20% of Spotify listeners noted the products they hear in podcasts help them discover new gift ideas. And we recently launched automatic placement on Spotify Ad Studio, which enables you to run in both music and podcast inventory. So if you haven't opted into automatic placement, we're going to be talking about that a little bit more later in this discussion. Definitely do so. Here are the top gift categories for Spotify listeners during the holiday season. So if you have clients or you're an advertiser in one of these verticals like apparel or beauty or gift cards, you know just how important the holiday season is to your full year advertising. So let's jump to the next poll. This one is focused on the Queen of Christmas. How many times has Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You been streamed on Spotify over the course of the lifetime of the song? A, 600 million times. B, 900 million times. C, 1.4 billion times. Or D, 2.2 billion times. Okay, the suspense is killing me. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna give it one more second for this poll because it's pretty close. But the answer was C, 1.4 billion times. So it's pretty incredible. That's 3 times the amount of monthly active users we have globally. And I noticed that a lot of you know how popular Mariah Carey is because it was a close call between 1.4 billion and 2.2 billion. And actually, half of you said it was 2.2 billion. So I'm going to ask Kitty, you mentioned you're a Scrooge when it comes to holiday music, but are you immune to Mariah Carey?
I I think I specifically said Scrooge before December 1st, and definitely not immune to Mariah Carey. I thought all of these answers were low, to be honest. I would have definitely gone with D personally. Um, so moving on, how can our amazing self-serve ad studio help you to create ads that are going to drive impact during this special but very competitive season? As you know, we are now on an auction model, and basically our auction involves selecting a bidding objective that best meets your business goal. And now this model is actually available across both music and podcasts, which is exciting. And you can see where exactly these objectives sit in the funnel. And our recommendation as account managers is always going to be to have the fullest funnel approach when advertising on Spotify and when planning your campaigns. And there are lots of moments to look out for during this period. Some of these moments might be market specific, of course, but from what we've just heard from Brian, listenership increases, purchase intent begins sooner than we think. So advertisers should definitely be thinking about how they can best capitalize on all of these key moments. And if you were to break down this period and think of a full funnel approach, you could have an awareness campaign that is always on throughout the entire period. Getting in front of as many people as possible is going to be really key, especially if your brand is completely new to Spotify. And then moving down that funnel and concentrating on added frequency, driving more impressions in the lead up to a key purchasing date. And then surrounding these dates or on these dates specifically, when you're actually looking for purchases, we can be driving as much traffic as possible to a page of your choice. And obviously, the more traffic we can drive, in theory, the more conversions. Um, Sorry, and now that we have gone live with automatic placement, it's actually your opportunity to really maximize on reach. And as we have seen a 56% incremental lift in reach compared to running ads on music only. And although lots of people come to Spotify to listen to both music and podcast, and me being one of them, we do know that plenty of people come to Spotify to listen to one type of content, so either or. And so it's actually a great opportunity for advertisers to be targeting two very different types of users. And by default, the platform, Ad Studio, actually opts you into automatic placement, just sort of for your information. And to take you through targeting and creative options today, we thought the easiest way to do that was to actually put it into practice and to do a little mock-up client brief for a brand that we've actually come up with ourselves specifically for today. And the brand that we're going to be talking about is called Spotify. Probably a brand you haven't heard of, but I definitely think it has legs. And what is the product? The product is a non-alcoholic spirit. And who is their target audience? The UK, because they are based in the UK, 18 plus, people who might have, a healthy lifestyle, may not necessarily be completely non-drinkers, but like to have the option, especially around Christmas. And what is the brand actually trying to achieve on Spotify? What is their core objective? They want to drive awareness for the brand in the lead up to the holidays, and they also want to be driving engagement with a promotion for Black Friday and Cyber Monday just in time for Christmas and just in time for people to make those purchases for the Christmas holiday. And what assets do they have? They don't have any assets, which is fine because obviously we can help them with our free audio creation tool. So an ideal target listener for Spotify would be, or could be, Jess. So meet Jess. She is 28 years old. She is female. She lives in London. And she is interested in lots of things. She's interested in fitness. She's interested in partying. She's interested in cooking. And her listening habits consist of listening to both podcasts and music. She's always plugged into AirPods. She finds it hard to go from A to B without listening to Spotify. She sounds rather like myself, to be honest. And her key listening moments on Spotify are while she's commuting, while she's working out, cooking, shopping, or just chilling out. And so, based on what we know about the brand and what we know about someone like Jess, what are we actually going to put forward to the client? This is the first of two campaigns that we might suggest. We would start with an awareness piece, so something that can run throughout the whole of Q4 in the lead up to Christmas between the months of October and December. The budget would be £10,000 a month, and we would run across this entire period, as there is definitely value in having a more always on approach with Spotify, because ultimately we are an always on medium. And so it's very important to stay top of mind amongst our audience always. We'd place the ads on automatic placement, so running on both music and podcasts, and we would suggest to be bidding on reach because it is the brand's first time on Spotify, so that is a very key metric. We target both men and women, 18 plus. It's a national campaign. This brand can deliver absolutely anywhere, which is great. But if a brand did want to do geo-targeting, they could. They could do city targeting, or they could even get nicher than that and do postcode targeting. And so when it comes to additional targeting on top of that, we know someone like Jess is really into her fitness, really into her health, her cooking, etc. So these are all relevant interests to be including. And when it comes to podcast episode topics, we've included food and drink, healthy living, shopping, all of these things to ensure that the ads appear only within relevant episode topics. And now remember that Brian mentioned that Spotify listeners listen while they shop in the lead up to Christmas. Well, that's exactly what Jess is doing right now. So we know that this is a really key listening moment for Jess, shopping. And so the aim of the second campaign is to drive engagement in that sort of Black Friday, Cyber Monday week with a 25% off promo code. And in order to drive engagement, we suggest two things. We're going to include video into the mix because we know that there are higher, or we can drive higher brand awareness results by doing multi-format campaigns. But most importantly, we know that video is going to drive more clicks naturally. And secondly, they should be bidding on clicks in order to drive engagement. We want the user to land on a specific page where they can take advantage of this amazing offer. And you can actually expect 2 times the clicks by bidding on the clicks objective versus bidding on reach or impressions. The budget for this campaign would be £10,000 for that week. It's a shorter burst with a more expensive format. So adding a bit more budget behind it is going to be important, just so that you don't minimize reach too much, which is still very important for this new brand. So if we think about Jess's journey as a consumer, she could have heard Spotify's awareness ad. She could have seen their out of home campaign when she was on her commute to work. She could have also seen the bottle behind the bar when she went out with her friends one day. And now she's looking for the next best Black Friday deal, scrolling through her phone, listening to her Spotify, and she hears that second ad with the 25% deal. And all of these touch points have driven her to engage and make that purchase. So it's really important to always be considering Spotify as a complement to what you're doing on other channels, and understanding that Spotify is filling those really key gaps in the consumer journey, which can be very, very powerful. A few factors as well that you should definitely consider when trying to incentivize listeners to make a purchase in your creative messaging. We know that our users really appreciate a few things, one of them being free delivery. Secondly, coupons, discounts, especially around Black Friday, is quite obvious, but you could even try, a Spotify exclusive offer. In the voiceover, for example, that's always a really interesting way to be tracking who's coming from Spotify too. Next, a easy returns policy is always appreciated. That's one that I love particularly. And lastly, knowing that the company is environmentally friendly. This is something that really resonates with the younger demographic, especially the Gen Z audience. So try to think about the core values of the brand, not just selling a product to the audience. And a few top tips to help you be really successful at a creative level. There's definitely a lot of importance for a clear call to action. It might sound, obvious, but especially if you're trying to drive engagement, make sure that is clear to the listener. Pick the right background music for the context of the listener as well. No heavy metal when that user is in a chilling moment. We want to enhance the experience they're having, not distract them from it. You're not limited to one creative, so feel free to A/B test different creatives if the budget is there. It's a very busy time on Ad Studio, so try to be more creative than ever to stand out. I know it's easier said than done, but as account managers, we are here to help you with creatives as well. You're not on your own. Video assets need an audio attached in case the user locks their screen, particularly important if you want the user to take action. We can also write scripts now. A new feature we recently launched, we can do the script writing. It takes a few days and there is no cost. So we can do both audio and script writing now. And lastly, don't be afraid to revise your ads. Take your time, and revisions don't cost anything either. So let's give these ads a listen and let us know what you think.
Introducing the newest way to stay dry with a locally produced, sustainable beverage you can have anywhere. Spot-A-Dry is the alcohol-free, low-calorie, tasty beverage made to drink at all times. Whether you're driving home, have an early workout tomorrow, or simply don't want to imbibe, Spot-A-Dry makes it easy to say yes to an alternate beverage option that's consequence-free. Spot-A-Dry. Drink at all times. Tap to shop at spotadry.com.
The holidays can be a wonderful time of the year. All the bells and twinkle lights are great, unless you're too hungover to enjoy it. Spot-A-Dry gives you the opportunity to be present for every moment with alcohol-free, low-calorie beverage options you can drink at all times. No need to wait until dry January to put your health and well-being first. Get 25% off your first order at spotadry.com with the code DRYNOW. That's DRYNOW for 25% off your first order on spotadry.com.
Well, I hope you enjoyed those. As you probably noticed, a couple of different accents there to choose from, and also we give you access to festive background tracks during the holiday season. Next, our third poll. Who was the top artist for Spotify Wrapped globally last year? Was it Taylor Swift? Was it Beyonce? Was it Bad Bunny? Or was it The Weeknd? The answer was Bad Bunny. And I'm always very surprised at how few people in the UK have heard of Bad Bunny, considering he is the #1 streamed artist on Spotify ever. So I think over here we need a bit of musical education, as he really is a great talent.
Yeah, it looks like half of you said Taylor Swift, which makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you guys saw the VMAs last night, but she was a huge part of it as well, or either in the audience or on stage. So we're gonna kick it over to the Q&A right now. So this is where we're gonna answer all of your questions on Ad Studio, about Spotify advertising. We have a few questions already in the chat. I would love if you guys could also just ask any questions you have about Ad Studio, about the holidays, advertising, etc. The first question that we have here is, can you advertise on podcasts in Ad Studio now? The answer to this is yes. So with automatic placement, and basically by default, you're opted into both advertising in music and podcasts. Our machine learning will place your ads in either music or podcast inventory based on your goals. Now, a little bit more about podcasts as well. I think we have enhanced brand safety features with podcasts. For example, if you want to exclude sensitive episode topics, we have that available for you as well. We also, in addition to music interest targeting, we have episode content targeting for podcasts. So again, all of these features are readily available in Ad Studio. So Kitty, do you want to take the next question?
Sure, yes. The next question is, how do you choose an objective in Ad Studio, and how do you target for clicks? So basically, this is part of the setup of your campaign. It's one of the last pieces of the puzzle, but also the most important when selecting your bidding objective. So you can literally select reach, impressions, or clicks, so opt into clicks. And the way that we optimize to drive engagement is to deliver your ads to people who are more likely to click on advertising. And secondly, probably the most important piece is we accompany your ads with call to action cards. And so these call to action cards are actually going to appear on lots of different surfaces of the app and remind the user they were served your ad previously that day. They can linger for up to 8 hours after your ad has been served originally. And actually, 1 in every 5 minutes on Spotify is spent looking at your screen. So there's a huge opportunity to be served, a visual element, a visual format. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. So as I mentioned in my section, you can expect 2 times the clicks than if you were bidding on reach or impressions. So if you're looking for engagement, you need to be bidding on clicks.
Fantastic. So the next question is from Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color? My favorite color is blue. Thank you for asking that question. All right. No, but in all seriousness, next question is, what is the timeline for bringing updated conversion tracking to Ad Studio? This is a great question. So we can actually talk a little bit about basically our enhanced measurement that's potentially coming to Ad Studio. Right now, we're testing the Spotify Pixel, and we're scoping, potentially aiming for we're doing the initial test phases of that and mobile measurement with the goal of releasing these capabilities broadly in 2024. So that's basically a little bit of an update on that. Kitty, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, sure. I can see Molly Monroe. Thanks for your question. Are you able to do location-based targeting? Yes. So currently you can do either national campaign, city targeting, or postcode targeting. That is what is available to you.
All right, fantastic. We're just looking for other questions as well. Again, please feel free to ask your questions in the chat. Just taking a look at, do we have any other, sorry, just give me 1 second. Oh, here. So in regards to your ad supported, is script writing only available in English? So this is a question, is script writing only available in English? No, it is not. But you would have to potentially, for the purposes of generating a script, we would need the script, or rather for generating an ad or through our ad creation tools, we would need the actual script in the language that you wish the ad to be in, essentially. Is a circular way of getting around that, but yes, the answer is no. Script writing is not only available in English.
I can see a question as well from Adrian. Is there a minimum spend for a campaign? The minimum spend on Ad Studio is £250 or $250 or whatever the currency is of your market. So yeah, quite low to get started. So feel free to jump in and test. And obviously, if you need help with media plans and structuring your campaigns, there's definitely a growth account manager in your market that can help you with all of that. So please feel free to get in contact.
So we have another question from Nelson. Could you target the audience in certain languages or demographics? Yes, you can. You can target by age, gender, in addition to, Kitty mentioned location targeting. We also have interest targeting available, real-time contexts, and we also have language targeting available. All right, so thank you guys for all the questions. We really appreciate it. We're going to wrap up this webinar, but I want to thank you all for being here today. It was we had a really fun time putting this together. We can't believe the holiday season is already upon us. And we want to wish you all a really happy holidays. So thank you guys.